On October 25th, 2011. John. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to October 25th, 2011 Town of Wareham Board of Selectmen Sewer Commission meeting. We call to order. Before we start, we do have one other person that's recording tonight for this meeting. Call order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Chairman, Mrs. Winslow is probably going to be late, but she's absent right now. All other selectmen are present, including the town administrator.
Thank you very much. Citizen participation?
Mr. Chairman, announcements?
Oh, announcements. Sorry.
Try to keep it brief.
Yep.
For those of you who are sitting home, thinking about town meeting, it starts at 7. Please try to arrive about 6:45. If we don't finish tonight, then town meeting will be carried over until next Monday at 7 p.m. The Board of Selectmen will be meeting at 6, as we do on all town meeting nights. So I walked into a Walgreens a few weeks ago, Iowa, and all you saw was Christmas lights. And I kind of mentioned to the girl that Halloween wasn't even here. But here we have it, the first one of the year, the Friends of the Wareham Elderly. Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
We'll be having a Christmas party on December the 14th. That's on a Wednesday at 12 p.m. at the Multi-Service Center. We invite all Wareham 60-plus seniors. Tickets are $10 apiece. Luncheon will be reserved. Must be reserved by December the 11th. Call Larry Gaines or Yvonne, or check with the office for more info. I'm sure this will be up on WCTV as well as our website. The deadline to pay to ND of December, 2nd of December. Doesn't make sense because if you can reserve till the 11th, you have to pay by the 2nd.
Well, I know.
I'm sure he'll be fixing that.
Procedures that we have to go through in order to order food. We know they're coming if we pay.
We will have a hot and cold buffet put on by Vels, and after lunch, a very special guest entertainment by RC and Daddy O. And if anybody hasn't seen them, they're just fantastic. Mark your calendars on November the 19th at 8 p.m. at the Elks Club in Cranberry Highway, the Friends of the Wareham Elderly. We'll have Elvis.
Oh, he was good.
Doors open at 7. Looks like Elvis.
It's Elvis.
Picture's a little squashed, but it looks like him.
I'll
The doors will open at 7:30 for dance, food, and entertainment. Here it is. Paid reservations only for the buffet are $10. And the deadline for that is November the 12th, 2011. While Mr. Gaines is here, I'm sure he's probably going to speak about this in a minute, so I'll let him do that. I was just wondering if somebody came and they didn't do the buffet, you usually have a dancing.
I haven't got to that.
Okay. But anyway, mark your calendars. That's coming up. And I don't have I got a little shook up when I left home, so I didn't bring my announcement calendar. Does anyone, Walter, do you have any announcements?
No.
A reminder
Mr.
about...
Schneider?
No, I have no announcements.
Just a
Mrs. Bagley?
reminder about November 11th and the parade.
Oh, yes, November 11th. We had a nice presentation last week by Mr. White, and Jim Newman came in. Remember, November the 11th is our Veterans Day Parade in Wareham. We'll be assembling at Bessie Park. The parade will end here at Town Hall, up the street at Town Hall. There'll be a potluck, light potluck afterwards, so please bring your favorite dish. If your organization wishes to participate, you can contact the Selectman's office or Mr. White or Mr. Newman or anybody. Just reach out. We're looking for a great participation. It's a wonderful day to honor our veterans And this year, I think more than ever, we have a great chance to rejoice that many of them will be coming home safe, hopefully, by the holidays. So that's all I have, Mr. Chairman, at this point.
Thank you. Citizen participation?
Can I just add something, Steve? Steve, I will send that to you, paragraph one, like I have in papers, and I think it's easier to read. I'm sorry.
Okay, no, it's fine. I'm just looking at it for the first time. But yeah, I was wondering about the second piece of the Elvis.
Yeah.
If somebody doesn't make it for the buffet.
But the events that we have out of the, the multi-service center, it's already money for seniors. We try to make it as complete as possible. It seems we're fairly successful with having the buffet and the dancing and the show, as opposed to just come to because it's a 3-hour deal, and we gotta have some kind of food.
Right.
Unfortunately, we have 3 weeks prior, we have to order it, and same thing with the multi-service center.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No more citizen participation. Westfield, discussion?
Mr. Chairman, through you to the board, in front of you is an update from Susan Green relative to the work that we are conducting with Peter Sanborn of Cedar Office, and we're working to try to arrange for some sense as to what the prior 5 bidders' intent could be at this time, and the memo outlines that process that Ms. Green and Peter and I are undertaking with our respective staffs. And I'll keep the board posted on the progress of this.
Any questions from the board?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, through you to Mr. Schneider. Mike, you still got contacts from when you were up in Boston doing these projects? Might be interested in something like this?
Yeah, I'm not sure it would be appropriate for me to...
No, I mean to give it to Mr. Andrews and let him contact would be appropriate.
Yeah, I think I could. Yeah, I think I could probably put a list of names together. I think that during the Westfield discussions, some of those same companies have come forward and actually bid on the project. Actually,
Yeah, good.
so
It seems they're having some difficulty there. It's probably the economy.
right.
Any more discussion on Westfield? If not, consent agenda?
I didn't get any bills. I didn't see any legal bills. We have approval of October 11th, 2011 minutes. All selectmen were present. Make a motion that we approve the minutes of October 11th, 2011.
Motion made.
Second for discussion.
Second for discussion.
Just want to make sure.
Mike?
I know that the attachment, the Board of Selectmen policy statement, access to town council, was is this copy that's in this packet that's attached to the minutes? Does that include the change? I'm not sure if it does. In the clerk's packet?
No. We got a page, but it's not the one that's in this packet. They added it in our regular weekly packet here.
Steve, it's in the, I think
It's in the clerk's packet.
in front of you.
In the clerk's packet?
Yeah, it's not the one that's stapled. If you would withdraw that first second.
I'll withdraw the second.
I would make a motion to accept the minutes of October 11th, subject to inserting the correct, up-to-date, approved access to town council policy,
Why don't we just put it on?
which would be what? Well, it's just a matter of replacing the documents. Which would be what? 11. They leave it, oh, they're left with the same number, 05-02.
I'll second.
Second by Mike. All in favor? Any more discussion?
Chairman, if 1 minute, please. I just want to make sure we have the right one in this. Town Administrator, if I may, Mr. Chairman. The updated change was the town administrators shall notify the Board of Selectmen by confidential memo or in an executive session of such request, when appropriate, and in compliance with the open meeting law. They left the number 05-02, and we now have 3 signatures, Mr. Schneider, before.
Okay,
It's
now-
amended this day, this 11th day of October, 2011.
It's completely signed, was there any missing?
Just Mr. Schneider and Mrs. Begler, Mrs. Winslow. We just got this in tonight's packet to
Okay,
sign.
so
But it still
if
has
you and
the
I have to
table.
sign it, we can sign it. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's right up here.
Right, but we still have we've actually changed the policy. We still have the same policy date, right? So it should be a different policy date.
I would think it should say 11,
Or amended.
11/10, right?
Amended.
When you think that we would adjust it to
Yeah.
the rate. Okay, I'll withdraw that motion and get this updated.
So we're gonna put
Redo it
these
next week.
minutes over
Yeah.
till next week? The
Move
minutes till
table
next
for
week?
Till next week.
Make a motion.
So what are we doing now? Are we pulling it?
Yeah, make a motion, we postpone approval of October 11 minutes until next week. That way the record is correct. Next, we have the minutes of October 18th. All 5 selectmen present. Recess, this is with David. Make a motion that we accept October 18th minutes as written.
Motion made by Steve,
I'll second.
motion second by Mike. For discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 400.
Did you second that, did you?
I did.
Mike?
We have no licenses and permits. Town administrators report.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I'd like to ask John Foster, our treasurer collector, to come forward. Not sure if this is the right seat here, probably the good spot, to provide the board with an update relative to the town accountant search screening committee and actions taken. As you know, the last closing date for applicants was October 14th. The committee worked diligently last week to interview, check backgrounds, go through the packets of information provided to the town. And I'm going to ask Mr. Foster to give us an update of that committee's work and the final vote by the committee.
Sure, thank you.
Through Chairman, please, excuse me.
The Town Accountant Screening Committee was established. There were 5 original members. One of the members withdrew due to a possible conflict. The committee was made up of Selectmen Ellen Begley, Carol Winslow, Sam Gray, Anna Miranda, and myself. The first set of applicants, the deadline for filing was Friday, August 26th. The committee received 9 applications to review. On Thursday, September 8th, 8 candidates were interviewed, and the top 2 candidates were presented to the administrator. The top 2 candidates at that time had no municipal experience, but they were very qualified private sector accountants. The second interview was held with Mr. Andrews. Subsequent to that, both candidates were offered the job, one at a time, and both declined. At that time, the ad went out for a second posting. Deadline for that ad was Friday, October 14th at noontime. We received 6 applications to review and 1 proposal from Justin Cole from Bay State Municipal Accountant. One of the applications from the first round was included in the 6th, and one who appeared to be applying for the data collector assistant assessor position. The committee met with one individual from that group, one that seemed to meet the qualifications for the town accountant position. We interviewed her and we reviewed the proposal from Justin Cole on Thursday, October 20th. At that time, we felt that that one candidate didn't meet the immediate needs of the town. She had municipal experience, but even she had questions on whether or not she'd be able to handle the job during the interview, due to ongoing audits and where the town stood financially. She didn't feel comfortable at that time. But we did review the proposal from Mr. Cole.
John, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
May I just ask a quick question? What was the experience level of that candidate?
I believe that candidate had 6 years of municipal experience, but in the county form of government, not directly related to what our town accountant would need or would have that similar experience. She was very professional. She did answer the questions that we had. She had concerns, and so did we, that she would be able to hit the ground running. The problem that we have right now is we're approaching tax billing. A Schedule A needs to be filed. The recapitulation sheet for setting the tax rate needs to be done, and all needs to be done in the very immediate future. So we reviewed the proposal. It was submitted at the same time this person applied. He is, this Bay State Municipal Accounting Group is run by Justin Cole. He's the town accountant for the town of Uxbridge. He established this company when Uxbridge cut back. They were a 5-day work week. I believe he's working 3.5 days now for Uxbridge. He is their town accountant. In addition to that, for Mr. Cole's background, he is a person who works with our software company, and he designs or helps them design accounting software for the company that we utilize right now. He has been involved in writing programs for this town. This is something we learned. It wasn't in his resume, it wasn't in his proposal. This is something we learned by contacting one of the contacts on his form, or on his resume, was Vadar Systems, the person who works on our accounting. So I contacted him. He said he's very good, he's very knowledgeable. He has other accountants that work for him. We did review that proposal. He was going to contact the Powers and Sullivan, our auditors, update the proposal and get back to the administrator, which I believe he has done. And just to give you some more further information, way back when in August, when this originally went out, we had someone else approach us. It was approximately $100 an hour for the similar services. That was a one-man operation. This proposal was somewhere in the vicinity of 60 to 67.5 hours a week for the next 10 weeks, promised to the town, and I think it was approximately $60 an hour, which I believe there would be funds available if you were to transfer in the future from the accountant's salary. We haven't had an accountant for, it's going on 5 months now in this fiscal year, so it's possible you could transfer funds in the spring. You might be able to get a transfer from the reserve fund to pay for this person right now. It is something that the town needs somebody in the position immediately to get us through the tax billing cycle and to get our tax bills out on time. File our Schedule A. That's something your auditors, although they can be helpful in that, it's probably something the auditors shouldn't be filing because they'll be auditing it later on in the future. So you need an outside accountant. You need somebody. The other thing is the assistant accountant. I didn't mention that. In the last 3 or 4 weeks, the assistant accountant has been out on medical leave. So we haven't had anybody in the office for a few weeks now. It's getting to be crunch time. This is the only proposal that we have that would meet the needs or get us to the next point of setting a tax rate. So it's up to you. We voted 4-0 in favor of the proposal. We were actually established to review resumes for the position of town accountant. All of the members felt that this would be a good temporary fix for the immediate problem. His original proposal that was submitted stated that he could perform part-time duties on an ongoing basis for an indefinite term with his firm. That's not what the second proposal was somewhat different. It handled 3 phases of the project, one ending December 31st, one ending March 31st, and the other one ending June 30th. So there's a 3-phase project. You can back out at any phase. You would be hiring for 1 phase at a time. That's all I have.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just add, just to fill in the rest of the picture, I did contact all of the references provided by Mr. Cole. I did talk with town administrators from Grafton, Northborough, and other communities. I talked to finance directors, and what Mr. Cole has to offer, as Mr. Foster has quite appropriately stated, at this critical juncture of tax season is right on target. That Mr. Cole has the level of expertise, at least checked out through the references that I've talked to, that have indicated that he has worked very closely to accomplish the tax needed by the town accountant for their respective communities. So that with that, that's why I filed an appointment letter last Friday, and looking for an expedited process of approval, Mr. Chairman, if the board would, sorry, I'm looking for an expedited process of approval so that Mr. Cole can begin his work beginning Friday, get acquainted with the systems, get situated at Town Hall, and begin his work to set in motion the duties of the town accountant. And then we can see how it works over time, as John has stated. These are incremental contracts. We can go back out again. If anybody has the luxury of time, go on the Mass Municipal Association website and check out how many towns and cities are chasing town accountants at this particular juncture. Belmont just secured one after many months of search. Acton, Northborough, a number of the other communities are looking. Dartmouth is looking for one most closest to us. It would be, that recently came open. So this, Mr. Chairman, is a critical juncture for us to be able to move forward and to fill that absolutely critical role of town accountant. And I would just like the board to understand that at this time and looking for their consideration and approval.
Any questions from the board? Mrs. Baker?
I have a comment and a couple questions. I was on that search committee, and the phase 1, 2, and 3, the 3 of them total, and this is one of the items that the search committee agreed upon, if you can kind of elaborate on that, John, was the fact that if we went with this gentleman for all 3 phases, it would be a total of $75,150. But we are not on the hook for any kind of benefits, which do add up to a decent amount of money, between vacations, health and dental, and that kind of thing. And as John said, that we can opt out at the end of any phase. Now, I was only able to view the proposal, but Mr. Foster was able to meet with Mr. Cole on 2 occasions. So one prior to our meeting as a committee, and then a second occasion with the committee. So since I was unable to be there because I had to work that day, what was but from emails, I understand that it was unanimous vote.
Yes, it was. That meeting was attended by Anna Miranda, Sam Gray, myself, and the chairman of the Finance Committee sat in on the interview. A lot of information was discussed. On that day, we contacted Powers and Sullivan to give him an update, to give him more information or a background on the town and how he would what he would do to plan the first phase, how he would lay it out. We left him alone in the room and had him contact the auditors, and he provided Mr. Cole with certain information. He was going to get back to the town administrator with the revised proposal, basing more of his hours up front within the first phase versus the second and third phase. And yes, if this worked out, you do have an assistant in the office. I believe she works 32 hours a week. If he was able to perform the tasks with these 3 individual phases, and he was successful and everything worked out, which I see no reason why it wouldn't at this time. He's doing it for other communities. I believe he had contract work in Cambridge, Everett, Southborough. He works for Uxbridge, Maynard. He's worked with Vadar, he's worked with Munis, he's worked with different accounting systems. He's a very intelligent young guy, energetic, motivated. I felt that he needed to have more contact or get up to speed with the auditors. I didn't want him to get involved or promise something that he couldn't promise, so I wanted to make sure everybody was comfortable with it. He said he can do it. There's really no other person you can go to right now that's going to complete, other than the auditors, that's going to complete your Schedule A or your recapitulation documentation that has to be submitted to the state without having those same people come back and audit the same information. I was happy. He's very pleasant. He's a quiet person, very professional. I can tell you that one of the proposals, the first proposal he submitted, we weren't looking for a full-time business to be the town accountant, and we told him that he needed to revise this to be in different phases because we didn't want to be locked into anything if in fact the town wanted to go in that direction. And that was at noontime, somewhere between noon and 2 in this town hall, and by 9 o'clock or 9:55, somewhere around there, the proposal was already back. He had already spoken to the people that worked with him, which are other accountants, and he resubmitted the proposal the same day that night. So I think that's a pretty positive thing when you're dealing with somebody and they tell you, we'll get back to you, and he apologized for taking so long. So, if, you know, this may not be the long-term solution. It could be the long-term solution. I don't know. You have to see how that works out. But I don't think you have a lot of options at this point.
Any other questions? Mike?
Mr. Chairman, you know, one of my biggest fears was being able to attract a talented enough pool of candidates for the town accountant's position, given the polarization that has occurred around that position over the last few years. Certainly, you know, our town finances have been in disarray for an extended period of time, years. And when I first looked at this, I thought that it was a very creative solution, and it's interesting how this gentleman, you know, brought this in as a proposal where we're getting a range of services of a full-service firm that has experience in municipal council. I guess one of the questions that I have is, you know, I like the idea that it's phased, particularly if we ultimately decide that this isn't going to work for us on a long-term basis, and we want to have a transition period where we do have someone who's been in the position long enough to be familiar with the town's records, and who has already worked with Powers and Sullivan on the audit, et cetera. So I see this going forward as something of a very, I think it's strategic, you know, and I commend you for even entertaining this, considering you were originally...
We didn't originally. That was something we read through the resumes, and he stood out. His resume stood out. We actually weren't... When it first came out, it was kicked to the side, because we weren't looking for corporations to do this work. And then we made a couple phone calls, and it was working for other towns. And the other thing the committee discussed was just that. If he can bring us up to speed, and he's in the end of the...
Chairman, if I could for one moment.
Sure.
I'll let the record reflect that Mrs. Winslow is here. Thank
Speak
you.
loud enough, I think they got to get it on.
The other thing we discussed as a committee was that if he could bring us up to speed by the end of the calendar year, and you decided to go out and advertise again, there were a lot of questions from the candidates when we were interviewing them. Where do you stand? What's being completed? What needs to be done? And as the committee, we said, well, the auditors are working on the situation right now. We have 2010 and 2011 still outstanding, 2 audits. We have no reconciliations for 2012. You know, it's not a great marketing. If for somebody coming in from the outside, they see that at a minimal as a lot of work for them to complete. So you know, this is, and possibly the other thing we discussed was increasing the salary on the next time around.
Right.
We had, like I said, 9 the first time, 1 withdrew, 6 the second time, with 1 with municipal accounting experience. So we weren't drawing a big pool. So I think if we get things straightened out and we do it again, and possibly increase it a greater, that's up to you, you might get more candidates to apply.
Mr. Holmes, you have it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks, John, for the review here. I don't know if I didn't get all the papers, but this paper here I have, at the top is Bay State Municipal Accounting Group, Inc., Articles of Agreement.
That's the contract.
That's what I'm looking at. I don't see anything with Phase 1, Phase 2, or Phase 3 anyway.
Do you want to look at mine? This was from the search committee.
Oh, it's from the search committee. And the numbers in this don't seem to add up to the numbers you just stated. It says that, looks like this contract runs from October 28th through December 31st.
That's the first
At
phase.
a cost of $33,250. That's not $60 an hour.
67 and a half hours a week.
600 hours.
See the number of hours per week.
600 hours of time between October 28, 2011 and December 31st.
For a firm. Is that what I'm hearing? It's not just one guy?
3.
No,
Right.
there's multiple people working on it.
Did you want to look at this, Dave?
Yeah, I didn't see it, so I'm just trying to read this small print and figure this out. Now, are we on the hook for travel
No,
expenses,
it's
John?
all included.
We're helping.
That was asked, that question was asked. It doesn't include travel.
It doesn't include travel?
No, I mean, that contract includes travel. There's no
Right.
additional fee for
Okay,
travel.
because usually that's extra, because I do notice when it talks about the extra meetings at night, so there's no T&E.
Oh, there's very much.
And did we actually put out a bid for this?
No. This was submitted with the resumes, the other resumes.
Is this appropriate to hire a firm when you're looking for an individual?
Mr.
In
Chairman.
terms of bid, do we have people,
Yes.
do we have other companies bid on this?
No.
Because they're, Mr. Chairman, if I may, because they're a consultant, Steve, they're not subject to Chap 30B, public procurement laws.
So this is a consulting firm.
It would be considered a consultant, I believe, yes. Is that correct?
They're an accountant.
So John, if I still have the floor, I know you're in a hellhole there. I mean, I'm not even sure how you get out of it in 8 weeks. I'll be praying for you. But one of my concerns is, I've seen this before here, it still exists in some other departments. And I'd like to get a copy of that, Phase 1, Phase 2, because I'd like to see that a little bit more. But I think you need to have somebody come in. Like you're, I'm going along with this because of you. I have a lot of respect for you and Mrs. Begley, who sat on that committee. However, I don't want this to get lost in a hole like other consultants we have on our payroll that just keep staying here and staying here and staying here. And we don't hire employees, people that have a vested root here in town, at least as a job. And so one of my concerns is that we don't do that. And I would hope that we don't see that happen. Is part of the plan to report, I noticed they have meetings in here. I see contract provides for attendance at 2 annual meetings per year, one in the fall and one in the spring.
Town meeting.
Right, but if the contract only runs till December 31st, 2011, there wouldn't
Well,
be
he's
any
being
town meetings. Right, and
It's a
that,
hopeful item in the contract.
I'm hoping that that's just regular language that they left in there.
I would be pleased if they just get through December 31st, so
I
we can get
understand.
tax bills out. That's
Was there-
crucial right now.
Yeah, was there any discussion involved in this where they would come and meet with us?
Yes.
The Board of Selectmen?
He agreed. He said if it became a weekly or a regular meeting. This is something he's going to be in here 10 hours a week, this one person, Justin Cole. He's the key. All management will deal with Justin Cole. He'll have another accountant in working on cash reconciliations. He'd have somebody else doing the software changes or updates to that.
Yeah.
But yes, he's agreed to come in and meet with different groups. Obviously, he's doing this for other cities and towns right now. It would have to be a mutual arrangement on what times and what dates. And within the first phase, you should have at least a monthly discussion with him. How are you making out? Because we need to know if we're going to have tax bills, if we're going to be able to send tax bills out timely.
Well, that's one of the reasons I asked the question, because time is getting short, and I don't want to be sitting here with my fellow board members on December 22nd.
Right, you don't want to review it on December 31st.
And that's the next time we get a report on this,
Right.
because typically with finances, we don't hear much. So I'd like to see something regular, and even, and I've been requesting it since September, but maybe we have a sit-down with our brothers and sisters on the finance committee as well, because you know, together, these two boards, our board and their board, maybe this firm and you, I really believe that we need to meet once a month or once every 6 weeks until we see some kind of improvement, Mr. Foster, and some movement towards some black ink here, at least to make us feel comfortable, so that we can in turn make the citizens feel comfortable. We do it on television so they all can see it. It's transparent, it's responsible, and if you're going to give us your word that those things are going to happen, I'm with you, John.
That worked.
He's the treasurer collector.
I'm with you, John.
Right.
All right.
Well,
I'll support you, because if you really believe that this is the answer, what are you looking at me like that?
The answer for right now.
it's the answer for right now.
For right now.
There
We
are
don't
no
have an
other
answer
options
right
right
now.
now. Do I think this is,
That's what the
if we could have
committee-
if we could have hired him
Yes,
to be our town
tried.
accountant,
In the last,
I would have hired him.
We
just
tried.
quick, because I know we're short, the 33,000, where's that coming from?
I would say that you would take that from the unexpended. You're going to have to make transfers somewhere. It's either going to have to come from the reserve fund and then be replenished through the accountant's salary, which hasn't been utilized in the first 6 months of this year, or through that end of that year. What this contract is, or the $75,000 contract, I don't know what she made, $66,000, $67,000, something like that.
81,000, 82,000.
She made 80?
There's 82 in the line.
There's 82 in the line item, I'm being told, so.
That's
Mr.
in
Chairman.
there. Where's the thing I gave you?
Mr. Holmes,
Which we've got that one to read.
three.
Can I just ask one question?
Okay, go ahead.
Or ask for
This is all
clarification
three
on one
phases.
thing. Mr. Foster, and this is actually to Mr. Foster and Town Administrator, Mr. Andrews. Steve, you said, you know, that we need to get into black ink. I think from my understanding, our current budget, 2012 budget, is a balanced budget. Is that
As far as
correct?
the spring, yeah.
So we're not in the red.
That is correct.
We're in the black.
That is
Yeah.
correct,
What-
Mr. Chairman.
What you need to get through, though, is once you close the books and you look at 2010 and now 11, what you have for free cash at the end of that. Hopefully, it's a good positive number.
Mhm.
I don't have any indication from the auditors what that's going to be right now. But during the Springtown meeting, and the budget analyst is here this evening, there was at that time, from what I understand, a balanced budget.
Right, and I just, you know, I certainly, that's been my hope and expectation, is we would end up with free cash, and I just want to be very careful about the message that we're sending.
Red or black?
Red or black.
I take that back. Red or black, but you know what? My point is, we need to know.
Good
And
point.
right now, we don't.
I agree, Steve.
Mr. Snyder, you finish with that? Mrs. Bacon?
Thank you.
Mrs. Winslow?
Thank you. I'm going to preface my comments by saying that it's not that I don't agree
Get a copy.
that we need something like this, but I have real serious concerns that we take the first person that comes to us and the number that they throw at us. We didn't go out for an RFP. We didn't review other firms. We don't know what else is out there. We don't know if this is the best bang for our dollars. We're talking about spending $33,000 between now and December 31st. how do we know if this is the going rate? How do we know if this is the best firm? And I find it hard to believe that public procurement laws, there are public procurement laws for consultants, and there's a threshold, and I'm pretty sure that that threshold is around $25,000. Now, I could be wrong, and things could have changed since I worked in public procurement, but I'm pretty sure this needed to go out in an RFP, and we didn't do that.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, just for the edification of the committee, excuse me, of the board and members in the audience, this is a public process that an individual put forward a very creative proposal. If you look at Chapter 30B, the Public Procurement Statute, Section 16, accountants are exempt. So, in this particular case, and you missed this at the first part of the meeting, excuse me, Member Winslow, I did talk with other town administrators from Grafton, from Northborough, throughout the state, and asked them how this worked. This is an a la carte, probably best said, way to get over the busiest time of the year for tax billing, tax collection season. And so this proposal came, and as John said earlier, the committee on first blush thought it was, well, let's just take a look at it and we'll talk to individuals, and they did talk to individuals. This isn't a firm that has multiple partners or whatever working to help us set the tax rate for the fiscal year. And once again, after checking with town council, we don't need to go through a public procurement process with an RFP. We've been through a procurement process twice to look for a town accountant. The town desperately needs one, and as I indicated earlier, this is a matter of making certain that we can get our business done at a very busy time for the town's tax business. So,
Mr. Chair.
That's the answer, Mr. Chairman.
Through you,
Yes, you still have the floor.
thank you. I do not believe that it is any member of this board or any citizen of this town whose fault it is that it is now almost the end of October and we don't have a town accountant. And to put this forth as some sort of, we gotta do it, this is a lot of money. It's a lot of money to spend over a very short period of time. And I'm not convinced that this is the biggest bang we can get for our buck. I have nothing to compare it to, and I sit in this chair trying to ensure that our tax dollars are spent wisely. And it's not that I don't support the idea, because I think that this is, in general, a good idea to get us to a place where we can attract enough candidates to give us a good field of folks. I wouldn't want to walk into 2 years of unaudited books and months of I can understand and appreciate that. But I don't think that it's fair to give this board one option with nothing to compare it to. And to get the contract, you know, tonight when we sit down, these are the kind of last-minute things, and I'm not comfortable, and I've said this before, I am not comfortable just voting okay. I really want something else to look at. I want to see what do other firms that do this work charge? What are some of the references that we got from these other town administrators where people work? This is a really big decision, and this community cannot afford to get this wrong.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, just quickly, we did check the references. That's my job. I did talk with town administrators and finance directors across the state who have indicated that this firm has done quality work, particularly during crunch time. So that's the benchmark that I'm using in terms of my recommendation, which I made last Friday after the committee spent less than a week trying to get through the second phase of this. So respectfully, it is a time to make a decision. It's not that we are spending any more than we would have spent for a town accountant during a very difficult season. And then, you know what? We can take a look after the tax rate is set on December 30, on or before December 31st. And then if we want to move forward with the contract, we can. If we don't want to move forward, that's fine too. They've even said that they will go through the process while we go out looking for another town accountant. And I said this earlier, and unfortunately you were not here, Madam Selectman Winslow. We have looked at the Mass Municipal Association. We've contacted the Governmental Finance Officers Association to see who are out there chasing these types of individuals. And unfortunately, there's not a lot of reception for a lot of communities. You can contact the communities that I've talked about: Belmont, Acton, Northborough, Dartmouth, They're all looking for town accountants and have been out for, not just went out, but many of them have been out for 6, 8, 10 months. And that's a matter of record if you look at the Mass Municipal website for accountants search.
Excuse me 1 minute. We have one other person that's here now that was on the search committee. Were you Mr. Foster? I think it was Mr. Heath.
He wasn't on the committee. He just sat in on the...
He sat in on it? The chairman of the finance committee?
It's a very difficult decision whenever you meet with a consultant to try to decide whether you should hire them or not hire them. That's one of the reasons why Mr. Gray would ask, who has extensive financial background, asked if I would also sit in. I sat in and talked to Mr. Cole, and of course, the first questions were naturally about the process for town accounting, but there are other questions. Questions such as, are you bonded? Do you have your surety in place? Do you have your insurances? Do you have confidentiality agreement? All of which his responses were yes. We talked about remote access. Do you have the ability to come into our system? Are you familiar with our system, the Vadar system? Yes, he was familiar with them. Did he understand the integration between the school system and the town system, or the lack thereof? Yes, he did. We talked about his employees. His immediate other full-time assistant was at one time the assistant town accountant for the town of Uxbridge as well. We discussed that his other personnel were part-time. We talked about response time. What happened when we called? He was on first call, his assistant was on second call, and after that, about 10% of the time we might hit the system, we would receive a response no later than 4 hours. Typically, though, it was 10 minutes to 20 minutes when we would receive a call. So that's what I sort of concentrated on when I talked to him. We talked about record retention. We talked about confidentiality particularly, because we can't have him going as the town accountant of Uxbridge to a state function or a state meeting, finance committee, whatever, with the Department of Revenue, and talking about Wareham. He's very, very, very familiar with all this because he spent 6 years in this process. And that's really what I went in for. I had no doubt that he could come in and figure out how to do Schedule A, or how he could figure out how to put all the various schedules together, that he had an understanding of municipality. My question was did he understand his obligations as a business owner, providing consulting, all right, to another town, and his responsibilities along the lines of security, confidentiality, all right, and what he was using for employees. We even talked about his office. He has an office. It is key-coded to get in and out. Everything in his office as well is key-coded, including the files. All right, we talked about record retention. He clearly understands the records belong to us. He's responsible for them. He has to bring them back. All right, they are not his to keep at any given time. He has them on hand to work with, but they are ours, and he's aware of all these. So that was part of what, I went to the meeting for, was to understand that phase of it. Did he truly understand responsibilities as a town accountant, both as one for a town or as a consultant? That's all I wanted to say. I wanted to throw that in because he did very well, equally as well, in that conversation as he did in presenting what he was proposing. A small thing that we did talk about in phase 2 is he did talk about the possibility of working with the town in documenting its accounting procedures. A little small thing that always comes up called copyright. Well, if you do that, do I have to pay you forever if I use it? His thing was immediately, no problem, gentlemen, I understand. The copyright belongs to you. These are sort of common type things. There will be no debate. I'll put it in writing. So he seemed to be making a very good presentation to us, both from the point of the accounting and from the point of being a business consultant. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Heath.
Mr. Chair, just to clarify, the point that I'm trying to make here is not that I don't believe that this individual would do a good job or that we don't need it. My issue with this is that we have nothing to compare this to. We're talking about 50%, almost 50% of the budgeted salary line item for 9 weeks of work. And I think that this board deserves to see, A, what other options are out there, what other people do this, and what other price, fees, and structures are out there. I mean, I think it's a lot of money for a very short period of time. I understand it's a lot of work. I get all that. But I don't feel comfortable with just one option before me. I don't think that if this is the route we want to go, we should put out an RFP, just like we did for legal services, just like we did for the CETA director, and we should see what comes back and what folks can offer us. I don't think that, I don't think one option, we don't know. How do we know if $33,000 is the going rate, or if we're paying way too much or way too little, which would also be a red flag, quite frankly.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Winslow. We've had questions from all of the board right now. We're going to be cut on time.
Mr. Chairman?
Can we have, I think Mr. Holmes has his hand up.
Just two quick things. I want to go back to the 33. Has this money been already discussed for a transfer? Is the Finance Committee good with this? Have you spoken to them? Through you to Mr. Andrews?
Mr. Chairman.
If it has to be transferred, does the Finance Committee not have to approve that?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, yes, and I have talked with the Finance Committee about transfers of a number of types, and this is one of them.
This specific one they approved?
I have not brought this to them yet because the Board of Selectmen have not given me their go-ahead with it. But we have talked in general terms about Finance Committee work and adding an additional $10,000 to the base salary, by the way, which is $81,195. So it's not one half of what the salary of the town accountant would have made. We knew going into this search that we would have to beef up that number to get some type of contact back with us.
Okay, Mr. Andrews, if you would, please. The time is short, and you answered the question. And the second thing is, to Mrs. Winslow's point, not to be a wise guy, but unfortunately, I agree with everything you said. Here's the problem, Kara. At this point in time, as we sit here on October 25th, we have no tax bills going out in January. Zero. And according to the letter that some of us got, all of us got, whatever, from the DOR, I mean, as it is, Powers and Sullivan's will not be done in the appropriate amount of time, because they're saying now the end of November. Maybe that'll go into December if they run into problems like they did in October. And we have no leg to stand on here to get tax bills out. And we may not even have a leg to stand on to get a temporary tax bill out. We're going to have to do some begging to make that happen. Because remember, the other side of this coin, we're still in a research year. That got started way late, through no fault of this board, but we got started late on that. And it's going to hurt a lot of people in terms of our revenue, in terms of seniors, in terms of veterans. Not if we have to set a temporary rate, they can apply for the rebates. I mean, this could turn into a mess. So really, I don't think we have much of a choice. I don't like the choice. I'd like to have 2 or 3. I can tell you that $100 an hour, if that's what it was, and John said it was 60. To find a consultant for $60 an hour at this level, I do this for a living, ain't happening. Financial guys that we use are about $187.50 an hour, plus travel.
Thank you, Mr.
So
Holmes.
there's-
I don't want to
So I'm just trying to say that I don't like it. I agree with what you're saying, but I don't think we have a choice, and that's unfortunate.
This will be the last one, Mr. Snyder.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The only other thing that I'd like to point out too is, and certainly you can feel free to disagree, Mr. Foster or Mr. Andrews, but this should also cut down on a significant amount of time that the auditors should have to spend going forward. So when we're looking at this number, we have to consider that.
That's correct.
If you planned on using the auditors to complete your Schedule A and your tax rate recapitulation information, I don't know what they charge an hour. You know, our committee was just to bring something forward. We didn't have a full-time accountant to provide you. So this is the best case scenario we had. And I don't know what Powers and Sullivan charge an hour, but
Mr. Chairman, I move to ratify the decision of the town administrator to appoint Justin Cole, Bay State Municipal Accounting Group, Inc., as the town accountant for the period October 28, 2011 through December 31st, 2011. Should we? Yeah.
There was a motion made.
Second.
Motion second by Ellen. Since we already had all the discussion, we'll take a vote.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
on that motion, the other thing I don't like about it is the word town accountant. They're not really the town accountant. he's not gonna be the town accountant. If you want, I'd go along with accounting firm or something like that.
Read the whole thing.
He's not the town accountant.
He's functioning.
You know what I
It's gonna be
mean?
town accountant.
Hire the consulting firm to do the town
Yeah.
accountant's role, but
That's up to you. You do need a town accountant to sign off, or the assistant town accountant needs to sign off on this documentation, so
someone who's on the payroll would sign off on their work.
in the
That's
absence of
fine.
the town accountant, it's the assistant town accountant.
I have no problem with that.
I'm gonna make a motion.
Okay, motion made, motion second. Don, any more discussion? Take a vote on it. All in favor?
What was the motion?
Motion was to ratify this from October 28, 2011 to December 31st,
The
2000.
title of the person is what I question.
It's Justin Cole,
Town accountant.
town
Town
accountant.
accountant,
Oh, as the accountant.
acting town accountant, right.
Acting still allow the deputy to sign off?
I think once you're the acting or interim, you are the town accountant.
One more time, taking a vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
What did you vote?
4,
I
1,
don't agree
0.
with that title thing.
No vote is a yes.
Nobody in the town is gonna have a say in our schedules.
Vote, what was your
In
vote?
our accounting office.
Mr. Holmes, what was your vote?
I can't support that title.
So are you
Sorry.
abstaining or what?
No, I have to vote no.
3-2.
Mr. Chairman, in the interest of time, I'll
Motion to
dispense
adjourn.
Yeah,
the rest
because
of-
that was a good, I thought that was a good thing.
rest of
Motion
my-
made to adjourn.
Second.
Second. All in favor? Thank you very much.
That was a good thing. Mike, you got that?
That's yours.
Yeah, that was a good,